And I am boldly willing to say, although sad, I am just entering into fulfillment phase. And I'm over 50.
Like, who I am is priceless.
Yeah.
And you can't ever pay me what I'm worth.
Yeah.
And therefore, I'm at choice about how I contribute.
Mind you, I dropped out of school in the 9th grade, so I was a little crazy as a kid. Frustration starts kicking in where what used to work no longer works, and now you're getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. Now you're like, I'm sick of this.
Welcome to today's episode of CEO Sisters. I'm Sharonda Robinson, and I'm your host. Today, we're talking about being useful versus being fulfilled. And as a woman, we know that you may have been praised for being useful, but quietly starved for fulfillment. So we're going to get into this deep and powerful conversation with my CEO sisters that are joining me, Nicole Cooper and Pam Benson.
Hi.
All right, let's just jump right in. How can you tell the difference when you are in this space of doing in order to satisfy your ego versus when you are in the space of being on purpose?
I would say when I think about being useful versus being fulfilled, what comes to me is performance. Useful is doing something to fulfill the expectations that others have of you, while fulfillment is the ability to operate from a place that what brings you joy and what is in alignment with what it is that you desire to create. And I think we're all raised to be useful. If I think about even just the whole process of our rearing to academics, you do things that your parents expect of you, and when you want to do what you want to do, what do they tell you? Don't do that. Come back here. Stop that. And we get programmed to only do what others expect of us. So I feel like we're born with the desire to be fulfilled, but we spend our lifetime learning and being taught how to be useful. And it's almost to the point where you have to wait till you break into adulthood to learn how to break out of that cycle.
Well, I had a model childhood, so I don't know what you're talking about. I was always, on point. Anyway, so.
Well, I sat with your mother at the anniversary, and I can tell you that your account might be different than what I'm joking.
Who knows?
Yeah. Might have left a couple chapters out.
That part. But you talked about childhood. So how does the childhood strategy, right, to be long continue once you become an adult? And what does that look like in the workplace? Let's talk about work first.
So I'm thinking about the fact that I grew up in a household where it was all performance from my mom, and her payment for being useful and belonging all surfaced around task-related outputs. And she was at the bus stop when we got off with the plate of cookies, fully dressed in the home with real shoes on, executing these things. And I look back on that and realize I didn't even know who she was until I became an adult, because there was no time for that. So when you think about your childhood, and to say that needed some undoing sounds crazy. Like there wasn't like high peaks of wild stuff and the things that you would categorize as challenging. But that model ended up being a problem for me because I tried to execute it. And the big difference was my mom did not work outside of the home for that first half. So when you think about women today and how that translates in the workplace, well, I've always worked outside of the home and inside of the home, and we have done women a disservice by not naming that it's different in those iterations. And so when you think about useful, we then perpetuate usefulness in the workforce, and we're now doing our jobs and we're organizing the socialization, the birthday month, the whatever, and then we're going home and doing second shift, which was all those other things. And so I have royally messed up for a long time the difference between the useful piece and the fulfilled piece. And I am boldly willing to say, although sad, I am just entering into fulfillment phase. And I'm over 50.
So have you been able to have that conversation with your mom
I
about
have.
what the model is that she gave you around usefulness?
I have.
Can you,
And
are there
her-
any parts of it that
Yeah,
you can share?
her response, I'll share all of it. Her response was, that's not true.
Okay.
But I bet you can do a dinner party in 0.5 seconds perfectly. So even her benchmark, which I can,
Right.
you could tell me you're coming to my house at 4:30. It's going to be spot on for a
Yes.
dinner party.
I have experienced that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
gonna-
wow, where did all
It's
this
going to
come
be
from?
spot on.
Yeah.
And that's not fulfillment. And what would have fulfilled her was being able to be a writer. She's 80. She's one of the most prolific writers I know. And never had the courage to let other people read her stuff because she was afraid that they would not like it. And so to me, that's the tragedy. That she will go down in history being known for an immaculate home, not a bad thing, a killer dinner party, and being an amazing host. But who my mom is, for me, was a prolific writer.
So is that why, and I'm going to come back to you, but Pam, you are a prolific writer.
I was going to say, and it passed on to you.
Yes.
And you are a writer that writes very quickly and produces quickly. So it's almost like you're an extension of her vision and her dream.
I will
And
not
powerfully, right? And powerfully.
I don't know if I'm a prolific writer, but I'm a writer, and I feel
Hold on, wait a
a
minute.
deep
How
responsibility.
many books have you written?
9, maybe
Maybe.
10
Just
now.
9 books that are published
Yes.
and ready to go.
10, maybe, I don't know.
What is that about?
Um,
What constitutes prolific?
I'm just hitting my stride on the truth. The first couple
Okay.
ones were performance. This
Gotcha.
poetry book was my first coming out party on. I'm gonna say it.
Right.
And I think I hold my mom's gift sacred. And so I think part of my energy that's coming on is the things that she could not say too.
right.
So I
And that's
hold
what you
it-
were saying,
yeah.
Nicole.
Yes.
was
So
like that
I will
passing
not
on.
I will not write out of respect for my mom.
And I was going to say, I would want to believe that your drive to writing is because you saw her suppress her
100%.
ability to write.
100%, but I just figured it out in the last 12 months. Right? When I watched her face at the poetry book signing, I thought, and now she's, she has Parkinson's and she has dementia. But there was about a 15-minute window of lucidity during that event where her face clicked, locked in.
Right.
And I will not lay it down because of her. Period.
And when you say her face locked in, do you feel like she connected the dots that you're living the dream that she desired, or?
I think it was two things. Whoever, that poem was raw. I didn't think it was ladylike to say those things. But now I realize I was wrong. And 2, run the ball. Take it all the way. And I'm not going to ever say it because I don't have the courage to say it. But I see, go do it.
Yeah, I just think about women. Your mother's 80, right? So
80.
she is a peer to my mother. And the opportunities that were not available
Right.
for them during that time
generation.
period. And so
Right.
when you think about this idea of usefulness versus being fulfilled,
Right.
your options were limited. You couldn't
Right.
get a mortgage or a lease,
Credit
or
card.
a credit card,
Anything in your
or
name.
anything until
Or self-publish.
71,
Or
72,
publish.
Yeah.
74.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of this conversation, like, I do believe that we pass down those habits and those practices to
Yeah.
our children, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if the judgment of the decision making is fair though, right? Because like totally different circumstances.
Yeah.
Well, I'm judgy about it because I could have gotten here quicker.
Oh.
I'm judgy about it because when I asked questions, she gave me the party line answer.
Got it.
So it took me longer to get there. So I appear by that standard as unhinged because I'm not doing party line answers with my kids.
Gotcha.
So it feels very ugly to those that have because I'm like, no, that's not what it is. Because I want to fast track. I don't want to start at 50 for my daughter and my son.
Right.
My children, I didn't name them, but my daughter and my son. I'm trying to fast track it. Some of that you can't fast track, but some of it is if you ask me a real question, I'm going to give you a real answer.
Right.
And I didn't have that.
Right.
But when you talk about the history, your organization's anniversary, which I talk about a lot, was transformational for me. But the part that probably didn't get the street credit should was your mom stood up and did what I describe as a freestyle rap
Oh, yes.
at the end of the event.
She did.
She did a straight up
Yes.
freestyle.
Yeah.
And the learning that came forward. So when you juxtapose that, she figured out, I'm going to say it. So they are akin in peer, but she chose not to be silent.
Yeah.
So there's an activist in my mom. So right when the march happened a couple months ago in Austin, my mom called her friend and said, I must go.
I remember that. Yes. I was surprised. I was like, come on, Miss B.
She was course correcting the language of some of the signs because she's an English teacher by trade. But she was
That needs an apostrophe.
she was editing people's the grammar on that's wrong.
Exclamation point.
But that to me is part of her reckoning. Like
Right.
I will not sit silent. So I course correct my judgment on that. She's doing it in her own way, just like your mom stood up that day and did it.
Yeah.
But I struggle with how many years she gave me the acceptable answer, which was around this task piece and this doing versus the fulfilled piece.
Yeah. Well, and I think that I know we're going to talk about that in other episodes. We might get into it a little bit today, but it's like how do you know that you've outgrown a patterning and a mindset, and that you've outgrown it, and you're still using it because you haven't adopted a new one, right?
Well, we covered that on the way here in the car today. I just found out.
Right.
We just found out, really.
So Nicole, speak to this idea of being useful versus fulfilled around mindset for folks.
I mean, I think the mindset all boils down to perception, right? And then that goes back to identity. I was just thinking about when you were talking about how you were raised. I was raised the complete opposite. As a child of an immigrant, they come here with the American dream. Right. So I'm a first generation American. My mom was pregnant at an early age, first child at 16. By the time she had me, she was 21 with 3 kids. And her thing was, baby, go live your life, live your dreams. I want you to travel the world. I want you to be everything you desire to be. And it was just like this joy of seeing me live a full life. And because we're immigrants, we're not governed under the same American restrictions, right, or like we were
mindset.
We were totally disconnected from the culture of America. Mm-hmm. So there was not this expectation to fulfill or perform. It was, we see opportunities so different, right? So my mom was overjoyed when she saw me wanting to do all these things and live my life. She was always like, live your life, do what you want. So I got the complete opposite. I got the fulfillment piece. I got I don't want to do that anymore, mommy. I want to do something different. Okay, let's do something different. There was not this policing.
Such a gift.
Yeah, well, and it also came because she came from very strict religious parenting. So my grandmother was a 7-day Adventist, and there was a lot of rules. A lot of rules. You can't wear polish. You can't wear pants. You can't eat meat. You can't do this. And my mom was a rebel. She was like, you can do whatever you want to do. Go be free. Go have fun. So when I think about that, it gave me the freedom of pursuing fulfillment. And I started at a very early age of like, I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to do something different. So when I think about that lens comes from awareness, and sometimes we don't become aware till later in life. Like you're saying now, when I think about what you're saying with your mom, I'm like, there was no awareness there that you have permission to be fulfilled, because there's a requirement to perform. There is a requirement to uphold a certain standard and to live a certain way. And the wife does this and the mom does this and, the woman does this. There were all these restrictions. So when I think about and redirect the question for me again.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was around mindset, right? And how do you know when you've outgrown your mindset, but you're still applying it in situations where it no longer applies?
Frustration.
Okay.
Frustration starts kicking in where what used to work no longer works, and now you're getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. Mm-hmm. Now you're like, I'm sick of this. Like you start realizing like, I want something different, and you stop caring about how it comes across to other people and start asking yourself, what really matters for me, and what is it that I really want? And that starts transitioning you for seeking fulfillment.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Can I ask the two of you a question then?
Sure.
It's not my one, but I'm
Go
going
for
to.
it.
So, do you think you can identify ways that you two have utilized usefulness as a crutch or a stopgap because there are pieces of you that don't feel you deserve fulfillment? Because I think before there's even this piece around the mindset, there is this inner battle around over-indexing usefulness,
Right.
because we have skill sets, to almost make an excuse or not go toward fulfillment.
Yeah.
Like a crutch.
Yeah. Well, I think I was rewarded for doing what other people told me to do, even though I might have known, and not in every instance or all instances, but in those instances that matter to me, that wasn't what I would choose or the direction that I would take. Right. And I think part of it is parenting, right? Like I was a very willful, smart child. And so I had ideas about what I wanted to do in life, and probably all of them weren't safe and smart and sitting in the middle of the street, just wild, right? But I think that as I developed my own like personality and the way I saw the world, and like heading into my teenage years, there was a lot of rigidity because I had been so rebellious. Right. And so my parents couldn't trust me to make the right decisions, because anything that they said, I would do the opposite. I would be like, okay,
don't do it.
You go left, you go right. Yeah. Right. And so and I think that is just part of, for a lot of people, like what it means to grow up and have parents who actually parent. And I'm grateful for the guidance and the discipline and the love. My mother would always talk about love is discipline and discipline is love. And I'm not going to let you be wrong, right? Because I know what's at stake. And so, but I think when it comes to roles that I'm supposed to play in the family, right, and in the family business, and roles I was supposed to play as a mother and as a wife, that's where it got tricky and confusing for me. Because I didn't have a way to figure out, this is what Sharonda wants.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? Because it had been so muted. And I wasn't sure. And, there are days now where I'm like, what do I want?
In real life.
Right? I'm really good at taking care of other people. I'm really good at like seeing what the needs are and understanding how to bring it all together. But what do I want in this? And I think I was in my 30s when someone asked and really listened to, what is it that you would love?
Yeah.
What is it that you would want? And I'd never really been asked that question, and then had someone really deeply listen to that answer. And leading up to that, I was frustrated, I was depressed, I was scared, I was angry, I was all of those things that let me know that I wasn't on the right track. But I didn't have in my life, the only people who I knew could do what they wanted to do were artists. right? Like they had a freedom around them because they were artists and they were weird, and so of course they can,
It's acceptable.
right? They
Yeah.
can do what they want to do,
Right.
but you have to answer the phone in this way, and you have to walk into a room this way, and you have to talk to people this way, and you have to show up this way, and you have to wear this, right? And so I couldn't figure out what my identity was, and I didn't have a place to evolve that identity with guidance. So when I hit college, I was like,
Freedom.
"Whoo,
Freedom.
let's go, baby!" you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very challenging for me, but it wasn't until I was in my 30s that somebody said, "Well, what would you love for your life to be?" And I paid to be in that program
Yeah.
for somebody to ask me that question. That's when I went and studied to be a life coach.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, well, what would you love? Well, I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Hell if I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Nicole, what about you? So
Um,
you use the usefulness as a crutch, and
I think I used usefulness as a crutch in certain instances until it didn't work for me anymore. So, for example, going to college. You know, you go in the route of expectation. And when I got to college, when I first went, I was going to be an attorney. But I quickly learned what it's like to sit in a poli-sci class and be like, I hate this. I am not watching C-SPAN tonight. I don't want to talk politics, and I don't give a hoot about what's going on.
Don't tell my mother.
I'm sorry. Well, you know, it just blew me because I'm 17 years old in college.
Right.
This is my first semester in school. I'm in Poli-Sci 101, Political Science
Yep.
101. And I'm surrounded by all these kids talking about, did you watch C-SPAN last night? Did you watch CNN? And I was like, I am out of place. This is not my world. And I do not even have a desire to race home and figure out what is on C-SPAN right now. And I think that...
It's riveting. You don't watch C-SPAN? My mother teaches political science. So, yeah.
Yes. So she
Totally
would
see
have
that.
been all over me.
yeah.
But I think when I had to make a decision about what I wanted my life to look like, it took me multiple majors of transition. I tried political science, then I tried accounting, then I tried the performative career path that everybody was saying to do until I was like Goldilocks in the 3 bed, and like this is too big, this is too small, this doesn't fit. And I remember being forced to sit down and pick a major. And what I discovered while I was in school was who I desired to be was not placed in a classroom.
Yeah.
I realized that I wanted to be, I had all these visions of what that looked like, and none of those, I changed my major literally 7 times. And I ended up getting a major in MIT, Management Information Systems, which is basically IT now. And my minor was in radio, television, and film, because while I was in school, I started hosting my own radio show. I got internships with MTV, BET, worked with Steve Harvey, went to CBS in LA. I started doing all these things, and I was like, I want to be in broadcasting. Then I decided I wanted to be a sideline reporter for the NFL. So I went and got my color commentating certification. And I just started doing these things. So I'm like, IT here, radio, television, and film minor. Then I was like, oh, I want to get another one in Spanish. I was all over the place in essence. And I just remember doing an internship in college, and I was in cubicles. And I said to myself, I'm going to start this, I'm going to finish it, but when I'm done, I'm never coming back into a cubicle again.
Wow.
And I spent 2 years, because they made you do it every other quarter. And I was like, I'm going to finish what I start, but I'm not coming back. And I always share the story. I became a Red Lobster waitress. Like, what better choice with a degree,
Cheddar
a major and a
biscuits,
minor?
baby.
I feel like
Cheddar
it answered
biscuits.
so much for you. We keep coming back to it. I feel like that was a
It was a
culmination-
cheddar biscuit.
Really
You know,
critical.
it was a cheddar biscuit.
You know
Yeah.
what that was? Fulfillment versus usefulness.
Well, so
it was my transition.
as you were walking through your story, I was trying to, like, how was I feeling as I was going through trying to figure out what, essentially what other mold I would fit in.
Yeah.
Right. And I never felt like I had permission to explore. I felt like the identity and the role that was carved out for me was set, and I had to figure out how to make that
How to
work
make it fit. Yeah.
for me.
Right,
Instead of, I mean, it was 2 years ago, Pam, when I looked at you when we were painting, and I was like, I think I might be creative. Might be.
It goes down in history as one of my favorite moments.
I'm like,
For somebody to be so enlightened, yet.
I'm like,
Yeah,
and it was like a whisper to myself.
Yeah.
So I think that my definition of usefulness came in service to family. If I was serving, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because when I had a really good friend who talked about how you all show up for each other. She was saying how your family shows up for each other. You know, that is something that is not necessarily the norm for everyone. But you guys show up for each other. And I'm like, oh, I learned that because that was the role that was rewarded in my family. And I'm grateful to it. I'm grateful for it. And I appreciate it now. But while I felt like I was being forced.
Yeah.
But thank you for that question.
But part of that is your parents had to create a controlled environment
Oh, God, thank you.
for you to be able to make it. Let's talk about that,
Absolutely.
right? So you were in a
Absolutely.
controlled environment. So of course they're going to just tell you what the play is, and you are going to you rose to the occasion and utilized, and hit the mark by way of the expectation,
Right.
which then in older form turns into usefulness and something that I can do and offer. Nobody sits in the childhood space and says, what would fulfill you?
Right.
Right.
They're just not conditioned
What's
to
your
do it.
identity?
Because that's tied to like flighty and not right.
Yeah.
Like so
Right.
even in your home there was parameters I'm sure around like go do it look like it's
Not really,
college.
but-
Well, I mean, but did she tell you
Not
college
really.
was a good idea?
So my mother always did say, Nikki, you're going to college.
Okay, so again,
Yeah,
Okay.
she did.
controlled environment.
Yeah.
You might have 9 majors, but you're going
She-
going there.
Her goal was for me to be the one to make it out and live the American dream. So college was still in the process. She may not have
Gotcha.
understood quite how it all worked.
Right.
But that's the one thing my mother did over and over again. Mind you, I dropped out of school in the 9th grade. So I was a little crazy as a
Right.
kid.
Or not.
But I remember her still saying to me in my worst days when schools were like, she can't come back here again. My mother was like, Nikki, you're going to college. And I would be like, I'm going to college. Like, I hate school. Like, who's going to college? Like, why would I go to college? Right.
Right.
Yeah. So I just remember her repetitively saying that in hopefulness that I don't get stuck.
Right.
But I also think it has a lot to do with demographics.
Okay.
Where you're raised, what part of the country. California is so willy-nilly, right? Like where I'm raised, it was about dreaming.
Right.
It was, and we were surrounded by dreamers. I mean, everybody came to our house, entertainers and people in the industry, and you get to hear stories, people who are on the road, and a lot of celebrity life. And so, dreaming was a lifestyle,
Right.
in Los
Right.
Angeles.
The imagination and
Right.
the dreaming and the
Yeah.
creativity.
Right.
It
Yeah.
was common to the private school that I went to, as a matter of fact. My mother put me in a private school, and the DeBarge kids went there. Tyra Banks was there. It was Alfonso Ribeiro went there. We were all kids. This is when Alfonso Ribeiro was on Silver Spoons. So I was surrounded by celebrity children. So we got to see you get to live a dream life. And then because we're immigrants, we were the ones cleaning the mansions. So we would drop my aunt off in the hills where I remember seeing a house with a bridge across it. I'm like, you got a bridge in your house, like that goes from one side of the house to the next.
Right.
And my mother would drive me through the hills and we would look at mansions. We became good friends with Whoopi Goldberg's daughter at one time. Like it was a lot of things that we got to see and witness. So it was just like, oh, there's options out
Yeah.
here to live a totally different quality of life. And I think that played a big role in impossibilities. It was like, I can do anything. Like I can achieve.
Right.
Yeah. And I think demographically it played a role versus when I got to the South and got to college and, going to an HBCU, I saw how refined a lot of the kids' lives were versus me was the wild card. It was people like, I'm going to be a veterinarian. And they had a very clear track. I'm going to go to medical school. My friends who wanted to be the attorneys, I remember getting to our senior year and everybody had a path. And I was like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. Like, what does this look like? I started auditioning for Survivor and The Amazing Race and all these things.
Oh, I can see that though.
Yeah, but it's like you're the way in which you're raised and the environment that you're in, certain requirements.
Right.
Coming in the South is
Yeah.
required.
Right.
Because when I lived in Memphis, I saw that there was a heavy trail of doctors and lawyers.
Right.
And that's because of where they're located.
Right.
And then their connection to Chicago. So it's
Yeah.
I say that to say
I
it
think
depends
it's-
on where
yeah.
you're raised. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between being valuable and being valued in your relationships? Let that one float. I looked
Are
at
we
your
sliding
face.
off
I'm like,
the
I'm
chair?
sorry.
Are we sliding?
It's just
Yeah.
raw. I mean,
Valuable versus.
Valuable versus being valued.
Can we ask you? What do you think?
Oh, that's not fair. I think that being valuable, so operating in the marketplace, right? There's a great deal of importance in terms of creating value, right? Doing something that is worthwhile, that people will invest time and money and energy in. I think the struggle for me was that I tied my title and my role to my identity as a child of God. So I couldn't distinguish between being a CEO versus being Sharonda, right? Like the title of CEO and the role of CEO, and being myself, as somebody who went home at 5, never did, but you know what I mean. So I think for me, I had to take a step back from the role of CEO and go, wait a minute, who am I? Because all of my reward, recognition, appreciation came from the role and not from who I was. And then I was performing that role based on, oh, I'm supposed to be on site at 7 a.m. and I'm supposed to have the agenda ready and I'm supposed to make sure that everything is clear. And, this kind of robotic, performative, leaning towards perfection, as opposed to how do I want to shape this conversation? How do I want to shape this interaction so that each person can be themselves and show up in the way that they need to be? I struggled with that for probably the first 8 years of my business because I wanted to do it right. And my definition of doing it right was that other people would tell me that I did a good job.
wow. Yeah.
And it wasn't my own, even though I have deep, deep appreciation for what I bring and what I can do, I never elevated that as high as my own appreciation for myself, as high as appreciation from other people.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, that was the difference. And I tied it to the role of being a CEO. And literally, after I had my younger two, I had to step back and go, wait a minute, this is off. Because if I'm not a CEO, then who am I?
So what do you feel is the difference between being valuable and valued?
Wow.
I think valuable is what you produce, what you perform, and there is a role for that, I think, in business. Yeah. I think being valued is me being able to look at myself and say, good job, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't come from anybody else. It's internal. It's very internal. And that voice for me, I think I shared in one episode, like I went and did the mirror work and I stood in the mirror and I was supposed to say, I love you. And, that was my starting point. And I said, I love you. And the clear, loud voice said, no, you don't. And I was like, okay, that's where we're starting. Right. So I had to really practice to elevate my own internal appreciation and gratitude for self and love for self. And I started with just acceptance.
Yeah.
I was like, this is all I got. The messy, the incongruent, the shame, the pain, the hurt, the joy, the celebration, the inconsistency, like all of that. I had to come to terms with, I am a work in progress.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny because now when you say those words, you know what I see?
Oh, tell me.
Our chart from today.
Oh my goodness. That was a good chart.
Because you said
wasn't
acceptance.
It? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you start seeing the what is it called, of consciousness?
The chart of consciousness.
Chart of consciousness.
Yeah, Dr. David Hawkins' work. Yeah.
How that transitions you to the other side where you go from victimization and survival into actually learning how to thrive. I think when you learn the power of your value, you expect for everywhere you go for rooms to, I always say this, but rooms should shift because you're in it. Yes. Anybody around me is about to experience a shift. Right. You know that you are a contribution to any room you're in. That's right. any
So
project you're a
good.
part of, anything that you do, is you now understand your worth, your value. You understand your place.
Right.
Versus being valuable, you're waiting for someone to tell you, "Oh, good job.
Right.
That was great.
Right.
I need you to do this," and like you keep
And assign a number to it, assign a dollar value to it.
Right.
Like once I really
That's a
realized
whole nother episode.
that I'm like who I am is priceless.
Yeah.
And you can't ever pay me what I'm
Yeah.
worth.
Yeah.
And therefore I'm at choice about how I contribute
Yeah.
Yep.
and how I negotiate. Like I'm basing my negotiation on how much time I want to spend
Yes.
and how much money I want to make.
Yes.
Because you can never pay me what I'm worth. I'm that good.
Yes.
And that is not I know when it's Sharonda ego. Like I know when I go into my ego, it's just the truth of who I am because that's how I see other people. It's like, and for me, I also had to realize that it wasn't what I knew,
Yeah.
right? Like what I'm bringing to a relationship, a situation, a problem, a challenge isn't about what I know.
Yeah.
It's about who I am
Being.
and how I can understand, right, who I am in that situation and clearly communicate that.
Yeah.
And that's the contribution.
Yeah.
Right. And
Wow.
so I think that's the value that each one of us brings. And that's ordained. Like that's
Yeah.
a gifting.
Yeah.
And the ability to give our children and our employees and our friends the space to come into the recognition of their own value is absolutely priceless and necessary.
Yeah.
Pam, you were going to say something.
Oh, I'm ready to go home. I have been an expert at putting myself in situations where I'm valuable. I will volunteer myself for stuff to be able to prove that I'm valuable. And I remember after I had my first child, to prove that I was valuable and dependable and all those things you do, I got on the road back for a client. I was already CEO of my own business, and I got back on the road within days of having a child. And I remember lugging the machine that pumped milk. And I went into the nastiest place in the world, which is a airport bathroom. And I'm pumping my milk, trying to get between flights. I'm trying to get to DC.
Because this is before they had the mother rooms.
There was no mother room.
Yeah, it was just like you just go in the
No,
bathroom.
you're in the stall. And I waited for the handicap stall so I had some more space.
Right.
But it still wasn't enough. And I get done and I have this, because y'all know that's gold. Like I pump this thing and I put it on the little thing that's used for disposing of sanitary napkins.
Right.
And I turn to clean the machine and my
knocked
elbow
it
hits
over.
it and the milk hits
everywhere.
the ground.
Liquid gold.
I don't remember anything except cleaning it up. I threw the machine in the trash. I was furious.
Yes.
And I threw the machine in the trash and went on to have one of my worst weeks on the gig facilitating. And when I left, I realized that I did that to myself and that they did not value me, because if they did, I wouldn't have been on the road in the first place.
Yeah.
And I did it to myself.
That part. Yeah.
And I got home and said, I'm off the road. I mean, immediately.
Yeah.
I'm off the road and I need to do some evaluation on why do I feel like I have to come 10 toes down into I had the contract, but I was on 10 when it came to being valuable and would offer up stuff they didn't even ask for to be valuable. So I've spent the last several years since then having to undo that, because that tape that we play is deep. And if you are unvalued at home and at work, the unlearning of that
Yeah.
is deep.
Yeah. That's so good, Pam. Sorry about the breast milk. I
Y'all,
apologize. I
liquid
can
gold.
feel it.
I
Oh
was
my God.
I was almost, and I didn't like how I was in that moment. I was almost violent.
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah.
I didn't get along with my colleague that week.
Right.
I was yapping. I was unkind to the women in this leadership program.
Right.
I didn't go to the dinners at night.
Yeah.
I
You
stewed
were just
in it.
pissed.
I bathed in it for
Yeah.
5 days.
You were just pissed. Yeah.
I was pissed.
But it was symbolic.
Oh,
It was symbolic. And I think valuable is connected to survival, right? It's like this, I need other people to tell me that I am able to do something. It's almost like where you are, and I even think about from a job standpoint, right? It's like you begin to, when you're transitioning from valuable to value is when you start realizing like, oh, this isn't even worth my time.
Well, valuable is first tied to ego.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to put myself in positions to be needed,
Seen,
revered,
recognized. That's right.
seen,
Acknowledged.
and proven and demonstrated.
Yeah.
What an exhaustive path for us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then what I do is then I then create other challenging casualties in the room because I've now modeled that for other women in the room.
Yeah.
So now they feel like they've got to do it. You want to know where competition comes from? That.
Ooh, to be seen.
Okay? So I'm coming to this space as a competitor. That's all about being valuable. I'm going to show you how I do it. I bet you can't out-facilitate me. I bet you can't out-teach me. I bet you can't out-panel, whatever. And we wonder why there's cat fights between women, CEOs.
Fighting for attention.
We create it.
Yeah.
Because half the room doesn't even see their value because they're too busy being valuable.
Should we slide on this one?
Well, so it makes me understand too the concept of competition versus collaboration.
Stop it.
Because I feel like when you understand your value, you now give yourself permission to see the value in others that they may not see in
That's right.
themselves.
Right.
That's right.
And I remember, one of the things that I used to teach on is understanding people's wiring and how their personality style is. And I did a speech on it and broke down for a lot of people, like knowing which role who you are, how you show up in the world. And this guy came up to me and I was thinking, God, if every company did this. But he said, I love what you talked about. He said, because at a job he worked at, he came over here from Europe. He said they did their name tags based on the style of how the person receives information. So, you have the 4 personality styles like phlegmatic, melancholy, those 4 things. What the company did was based on how a person was wired, they had their names identified with the style in which this person receives information and how they function. So if you're like analytical, people knew how to work with you according to your analytical style. And it made me value your perspective as opposed to fight against it, because I understand I need your analytical style. If I'm more of a visionary and I need somebody to dissect information and be able to break things down, you had the ability to help me put into practice what I was envisioning.
Right.
So it made people communicate differently. And I think what happens in most environments is competition. Instead of valuing the differences in each other and how we show up, we are competing to say that my way is the only right way and everybody should do it my way. And it's like, but you're fighting against the collaborative tools that you need to make what you do better.
Right.
And so if only we could operate like that.
But we're also conditioned as women not to name our value.
Right.
Okay.
Ooh,
so we're
speak on that.
conditioned to not name our value. Now, if we were sitting on a couch full of men and I said, tell me what your value is, we're going to have to shut them up.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're
They
conditioned.
give you stats.
But they're also conditioned competitive nature is a collective game
That's
through
right.
sports.
Teaming.
That's
right.
We are not given that same conditioning. So if I sat on a couch with a bunch of men and said, what are your values? You're going to be like, we have to go to break. When I do it with women, it's crickets, right? So women actually have all the credentialing. But if I said, hey, are you prepared to do this job? A woman will have 21 of the 21 things needed on the job description. And she's like, I'm not sure. A man can have 2.
Right.
And he figures,
I got this.
I can figure out the rest.
Right.
So when we first started doing Mastermind, one of the first things was, what do you think are your value adds, or what do you think you're good at? If the 2 of you were not able to answer that, I wouldn't have been on the couch with you.
Right.
Because that is a critical thing around how then we can coexist as CEOs together.
Yeah.
Because I'm not competing with you.
Yeah.
I'm collaborating with you. I'm conspiring for you. I'm block and tackling for y'all. But I don't have to compete with y'all.
That's
right. And it's why I can sit on a couch with y'all and it's like, hey, what are you bringing?
Yeah.
And I say, snacks, and be completely secure.
And it's glorious.
and be completely
Yeah.
secure in that. I already have all these other things and I use them as needed here, but I don't have to prove them here.
Yeah.
So I get to be calm in the space.
Let's talk about money,
Oh, shoot.
right? Because I think that this is where, for a long time, I got tripped up. I was conditioned and trained, and I learned that my value was somehow associated with a dollar number. And if I wasn't a millionaire, then I didn't really have value. Or if I didn't have money in the bank or own a house or a nice car, right? It became, for me, very materialistic. Yeah. And that's how I demonstrated my value. When I look at people that I admire that are successful, they are able to navigate the material piece, but the contribution that they make to the world, right, is invaluable. But they're stacking, So I just want to unpack that a little bit, because as someone who hires people and brings people onto teams, one of the conversations that I don't know if I'm exactly comfortable with, I'm probably more comfortable with it now than I was 20 years ago, was how do you assign dollar value to a role within your organization, right? What matters most to you? I'm just curious about that. I know that's not on the script here or the notes here, but I'm just curious about. I think we need to talk about money as CEOs, and like how we assign value through money for the roles on our teams.
I like to look at it. I always talk about this when you're hiring people. Are you brains or are you hands? Right?
You always have the best answer for this. Oh my goodness.
But because I've learned over the years that when you're hiring people for a role, the goal is for you to be delivered from responsibility of that role. So it's like, if I'm hiring somebody that's the brains, how much is what they do freeing me up to do what I need to do that makes it valuable for me to cut a certain check, because it's now giving me permission to operate in the highest and best version of myself. And in that, it's hard to put a number on what that is, but it's easy to determine if this person is valuable enough to invest more in them when they free you up. Because what we don't understand as CEOs is that our role is to share the vision and delegate. And I think what happens in today's world, and especially in our culture here in America, is we are addicted to the doing. So we try to reward people. It's like the exhaustion and the burnout is celebrated in this country, because it's like, oh, your team no sleep. You work 18-hour days. You sacrificed your life. You did all these things. Like, you are a star in your, in business. Yeah, but everything else in my life is falling apart, including my body, and so what I've learned over the years is, if I can hand something to you and don't have to think about it, then let's talk rates, because it's like, it makes a big difference when you have the ability to be the brain that I don't have to micromanage. And I think as CEOs too, is we have to begin to understand what it is that we is our highest and best version of us. Because what I've had to learn over the years, I love what I do, as you guys know, but I was addicted to being the one doing the operations of it. And I've learned over the years, you know enough to know what to tell them to do to govern it, but you no longer have to be attached to each area of your business as the fulfiller, the one doing the fulfillment to execute. So now your goal is to raise the funds, to build the team, to execute the vision, to operate in the role. And what I've learned, we talk about this too, is destiny helpers. When you get people who get you and they understand your vision, and it makes it less to have to micromanage, it's a transition. I think a lot of times we get addicted to babysitting projects. I used to be like, I wanted to know everything. What's the hex color codes and what's this and what, like you talked about that today. Mm-hmm. It was like, we used to want to go learn everything. Right. Let me take a class. What's the new software? Let me take a class on this. It was always, I remember just trying to be in every room, every workshop, every conference, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't. Now it's in the book that changed my life is Who Not How.
Okay.
Who Not How. Yes. Because what he teaches you is, instead of trying to figure out how to do more things, you instead identify, who do I need that knows how to do this, so I don't even have to figure out how it needs to be done.
Right.
I can just display the vision and then trust them.
Right.
Right? Because I think another great deal of being a CEO is building enough trust to get people to do things. But here's the catch. When you have a destiny helper, they get your vision enough where you can trust them to release them to do what they need to do. So I think about my project manager. Maite been with me for almost 11 years. I don't have to think twice about a project with Maite. We, when I meet with her, she's the one that has all the bullet points. Where are we on this? Nicole, I need this from you. I need that. I mean, it's so powerful to have somebody that just gets it.
Yeah, right.
That it's like, I need to make more money so I can give her more.
Right, right.
Like, I can't wait to cut her bigger checks.
Right.
And I even think about when the day comes that I'm going to get this big check, like, baby, you are covered. Like, you're going to be in the plan. Like, it's just, so I think the value comes when you understand being surrounded by those. You value the talent of those that are around you. Number one, value them enough to let them fulfill the role that they're gifted in. I think that's important as a CEO. I think we also sometimes can put people in positions that's not a good fit.
Right.
So getting to know who you have in place and loving them enough to operate in their giftings that they can build some autonomy and fulfill that assignment, and then also gracefully beginning to feed them responsibility so you can release yourself, so you can do bigger and better things. And then, because to me, we need the money.
Right.
We're gifted to produce the money. So now starting to determine what that looks like.
Such a good answer. Is there a book for you, Pam, that helped you understand the role of team members in your organization?
The two books, well, let me say this. All businesses will succeed and or fail based on the CEO's relationship with money. Period.
Ooh,
So
we need to dig into that.
my HR practice is at the intersection of Lynn Twist's book called
Looks like, hold on, pause. We're sliding.
We're sliding.
We're sliding.
Sorry.
We can't skip over that statement.
Sorry.
Come back, please.
Come back.
That is a sound
because
bite.
I'm not probably a traditional HR person.
I need you
because of it.
I need you to repeat.
All organizations, as far as I'm concerned, the success of all organizations hinges on the CEO's relationship with money. So the two books, Lynn Twist, The Color of Money, is about your relationship with money, and What Color is Your Parachute, which addresses people's real callings. And I believe all skill sets are transferable, and we spend so much time on people's credentials. You can be an amazing tennis player and not be able to teach it or integrate it into an organization. So I have just a different approach to how we upskill and or seat people in organizations. And I think that a lot of times CEOs are too worried about what's above the fold in the resume. And then they hire them and they're like, what happened? Well, the real skill sets that we need to be looking for, and the real way that we put a dollar amount on somebody's skill, is around anticipating need. Do they move with a sense of urgency?
Yeah.
Do they hold your vision sacred? Do they define the extra mile as you are solid, that you are anchored? That's a hard thing to find. We're too busy about, can they run the books? Do they have customer service? That's baseline. Do they define excellence as, I understand the vision and I am not going to produce a C-level product for the leader? And if we could just get over ourselves on all this credentialing, we don't even need, if we actually want to credential people for a degree, what the hell is that? It's, can they synthesize information in a way without all the Scrabble words?
Yeah.
So good.
Right?
Yeah.
Are they the connective tissue between vision and execution?
Execution, yep.
Right? That's, to me, what you should be trying to put a dollar amount to. And then when it comes to the CEO, I want us to make more money so that we can get the check that you talked about.
Yes.
For me, it's I want you to see your vision within my vision.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Find your own place.
That's right.
And the money comes for everybody.
That's right.
Yes.
Everybody's winning.
Yes.
We're just not conditioned that way.
Yes.
So I know like HR gets a bad rap, but my flavor of HR will not get a bad rap because it is about the preservation and the onboarding of people who want to be there. And if you find people that want to be there, you don't lead a day in your life.
That's right.
They're leading themselves.
That's right.
And that's the type of environment that I think is the important environment. But when I meet a CEO who does not understand what money is and how it works as a tool, that organization is not going to be successful.
Yeah.
It's just not.
I love this. This is so good. Anything that you want to share in terms of specific steps or practices so that as we're continuing, because I'm going to be thinking about this topic for the rest of my life, obviously. Right. But anything that you can provide guidance for folks that are listening around being useful or fulfilled. You've named a couple of books. So Who Not How.
Who Not How.
And then
What Color Is Your Parachute? Still good.
And The Color.
And The Soul of Money. I think it is.
The Soul of Money.
The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist.
The Energy of Money?
I think it's either The Soul of Money, but
Okay.
Lynn Twist, look her up.
Lynn Twist.
Game
Got it.
changer for me.
Got it.
Because, again, if I'm working for somebody who discounts their vision, who won't ask for what they're really worth, we're screwed.
Because the value, right?
Yeah, we're screwed.
Is not internal. It's not internalized.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll have young entrepreneurs be like, I'll do it for a discount. I said, you'll never do my nails again. You'll never do my hair again. You can't come over. You just, before
Why
I
is that?
asked you, because I don't think you don't trust your own product. If you discount it, you don't understand how money works. If you're willing to not do, if you tell me to me, you're like, I'll do it for free. Oh,
No discounts.
we can't do business.
Right.
I didn't even ask for free. I didn't ask you for a hookup.
I do think there is a difference in what the budget is versus what the value is.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. And I think there's
Yeah.
I think we have to make a distinction.
Yeah.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Right.
That's a whole nother-
And for entrepreneurs that are just starting out, like building your portfolio and your connections in the industry have value. And so there's some trade-offs there. But it doesn't mean I agree with you on discounts.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't it is the understanding that what I am giving for in this transaction is so that I can gain, so that I can charge in the way that I want to.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not a discount.
Well, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, for the last 6 years, I have brought an idea forward in rooms with women who I thought had their act together.
Okay.
And they thought that I was crazy up until this, which was, what would it look like if we sat together and said, here is my vision, here's my dream. And for a concentrated amount of time, we threw our weight, power, influence, and dollars behind one of us and lifted it.
Right.
And anchored that, and then pulled up the next woman.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that sounds amazing in theory with healed women CEOs. Couldn't get it off the ground because every time I tried to lift it, very quickly became, well, wait a minute.
Competition.
Well, what about me? And I thought, not the right group.
Yeah.
Then said to y'all, here's how I think we need to lift this. And y'all were like, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is, there's a lot that goes into the work. And whenever you put people and money together, it gets wonky. Much like it gets weird at funerals, much like it gets weird at weddings. People's unconscious pieces,
Highly emotionally charged.
value and whatever come up. So at the end of the day, if I can't say, hey, right now we're going to focus on Sharonda's vision, and we're going to throw our weight behind that and lift it, and be okay with the fact that that simply means that whatever that is that's needed, HR support, ghost writing, I don't know, snack carting, I don't know, steaming a shirt, and I can't stay on par and get in my feelings on it, we're in trouble. And there are very few spaces where people are secure enough to lift the vision of another CEO and ride in whatever position on the bus is needed to lift it.
Right. And I think that's one of the reasons why there's such a significant wealth gap. Because when you look at how the other team plays, right? And sports and conditioning has a lot to do with that. That's why my organization, I'm looking for athletes because they've learned, they've trained, and this is about all of us. And not just I lose, but everybody loses. Not just I win, but everybody wins.
They've got it down cold.
They've got it down. And so in that conditioning and that mindset, you bring it with you when you play sports. So ladies, if you have daughters, have them play sports, team sports, not individual sports, but team sports, right? Individual sports are great for mindset development, but team sports are what we're talking about in terms, because it takes that collaboration to lift things. So that's how they play, right? On the other side, that's how they play, and that's how they amass such great momentum quickly by leveraging the networks, right? Leveraging networks, leveraging resources, leveraging ideas, right? And then just the spiritual side of it, where two or more are gathered. Right. There is a force, like, in business we call it synergy. We have synergy. But there's this force that comes that lifts and clears the way for obstacles, right? Brings resources in that no one's even thought of yet.
Didn't you needed it.
Yeah. So,
but I want to say it boils down to someone being very clear, very confident, very connected, very aligned, to understand that the vision that I have is for a community of people and not just the individual goal. And I think that's where a lot of us fall short, is that your vision is not for you. Your vision is for a group of people who come together and they bring it to life. And I think that's the missing part. And that would be my advice, is if your vision just includes you, it's too small.
That's right.
And there's no value in it.
There's no value in it because it's very ego driven, it's pride driven, and it's impossible to fulfill as an individual. Like, your vision is going to require a team of people, whether you want to believe. Look at us. We're doing a podcast. Takes a whole squad. This is, I've tried my office podcast where you record a whole session and the audio is not recording, or the video is jacked up.
Salad in the green room.
We didn't hit the record button.
Right.
The editing is
no salad in the green room.
It's just
a rough road.
Yeah, it's a rough road.
Yeah.
But when you begin to realize that what has been godly inspired in you to create on the earth requires a army, a team. You can begin to operate so different that you make space for talent. You make space for collaboration. You make space and you value your people.
Right. If you, a very easy tactical test for you listening is, and watching, just do a tick mark post-it note of how many times you say I in any given day. And that will be informing for you around how far you are off on fulfillment. And how performative you are, and how you're in a mode of having to prove. And if you're over-indexing the I, you are essentially devaluing your worth.
Wow. I think mine would be, look at your calendar. Right. I'm guilty of this because I want to show up and be there and support, but it's kind of, some of it's what you said earlier. Like, I want to be there so I can get approval and recognition and appreciation and feel valued and feel fulfilled and feel, and so in the last year, I have like looked at my calendar very clearly and said, do I actually need to be there? Like, am I making an actual contribution
Huge.
To the room.
to the space, or am I just going
To
to
be an
go?
attendee.
You know, to be so that people won't say, "Oh, well,
She
Sharon,
didn't come."
she didn't show up, right? She didn't support."
Wow.
And you get a lot of invitations.
I get
You
a
could
lot
be
of-
out 7 nights
I
a
have
week.
been out 7 nights a week.
7 nights and days.
3 times
and
on
lunches
Saturday and Sunday,
breakfast.
right? I
Yeah.
would, my schedule would be interesting. I would have 2 lunches and 2 dinners sometimes, right? It's like, this is craziness. And so it came from this desire to perform and to feel valued and to like make sure that everybody else was taken care of, but not me. And so look at your calendar really critically and strategically around what is it that you actually need to contribute to, would be my advice. All right. So thank you all so much, CEO sisters. You do not exist to be consumed. Fulfillment begins when usefulness stops being a measure of your worth. Until next time, we'll see you. Love you.